Oh yeah,
There you
here I
are.
am.
I can see you now. Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm excited too. Yeah, I'm kind of heading off in about a week to start our journey over there. And yeah, really excited.
How many people are on this advanced course?
There's 10. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so and that's pretty much our maximum just because I like to give everybody individual attention, you know. And one of the reasons I wanted to do these meetings beforehand is just to cover as much theory and introductions and everything as possible so that when I'm actually there, it's all hands on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Perfect sense.
And where are you based, Yuan?
I'm in London.
Oh, cool. Which part?
I actually live near Wembley,
Okay.
but I drive ambulances right now, so I'm working
Oh,
in Oxford.
oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'm doing a 700 miles a week just to and from work.
Oh, oh, that's not good.
No, I'm doing long hours because I find when I'm not doing anything, it's a waste of time, and I
Yeah.
don't like time.
Yeah.
But I haven't fully got into doing this massage thing yet. If you
Okay.
understand, probably all the other people on the course are going to be like massage therapists or whatever. But I haven't started. I've done friends, and I'm slowly getting into it because I've always been a bit slow when I do something, but I do it eventually. But I'm very slow.
Yeah.
I don't,
That's
I don't
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, it took
So
me a long time when I first got started. Hi, David.
Hi there. Hi.
How are you?
Yeah. Okay, but I've got COVID at the moment, unfortunately.
Oh no. At least you're
right,
getting it over and done with before the course starts.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I had it about a year ago in Los Angeles. I'd spent a couple of years there in Australia with lockdowns and everything. And then first time I went traveling, got it. It's still been vaccinated, but we got it when we got to LA and all of it because I got my wife and my daughter and my son. We all had
Yeah.
it. Pretty miserable few days in a hotel room.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
That's not too bad. Just a sort of very runny nose,
Yeah,
but just like a heavy cold, really. But
yeah,
hopefully, I'll be over it in a couple of days' time. So,
yeah. And you taking lots of vitamin C and stuff like that?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good, good. Well, thanks for coming to the meeting.
Yeah. Good.
Good. So yeah, I was just getting to know you, and is that how I pronounce your name? Is it
yeah,
Yuen?
Ewan or Young. Most people call me Young, if you can
Young.
remember. Yeah, Young.
Okay. All right.
It's a bit
Cool.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Ah. And so you did the course. How long ago did you do the course with Dave?
In March.
Oh, okay. So yeah, not too long ago.
No, no, not too long ago.
And
Yeah.
David, you did the course a while ago, haven't you?
2 years ago now. Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, I thought it was a while.
Yeah.
And have you been practicing, David?
Well, yeah. I started my business a year ago.
Okay.
It's been quite slow going to start with, but I'm getting a few clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And how are the results going on those clients?
Yeah, most clients have definitely benefited
Oh, good.
from the sessions. So,
Good. And they're coming back?
some of them are, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, good. Good. Well, we're still a few minutes early for the rest of the crowd. I expect, as I was saying to you, and there's 10 people enrolled in the advanced course, which is kind of the maximum Dave and I wanted to, have. And I think two can't make it to this meeting. So hopefully there'll be between at least 6 and 8 at this meeting once we get started. And what I really wanted to do is just have a few meetings before the course so that when we actually get in there, we can actually just get started with the practical right away. So basically, get to know each other a bit of introductions, how's your business, and all that kind of stuff. And then also any theory, I can cover a little bit of theory of what we're going to do in the course so that then as soon as 9 o'clock happens on that Monday morning, we're right into it. Just so we take it. I just feel it's best because it's quite a long way for me to come over there. And, I just want to get you guys to get as much out of it as possible.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So do you guys have while we're waiting for everybody else, do you guys have any questions that I can, answer or anything like that?
I had a question, but I've forgotten.
Yeah, that's okay.
You know the printout of the bands because there's
Yeah.
when I learned it, only a few. There was two new ones like the little toe bands.
Yes. I
They're
have
not.
some of those, and I can bring some over. Some of the latest ones I got printed in Australia. I'm actually in the US at the moment, but I brought some over here with me. So yeah, if you'd like me to bring some charts over, I can definitely do
Yes,
that.
please.
All right,
Yes,
great,
great.
not a problem at all. And how have you had a chance? You went to massage anybody much after the course?
Yes, I have.
Oh,
I've done a few friends, and yeah, I do friends. I've been
great.
offered a massage room actually.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
a friend is a she does injections and things, so she has her
Oh,
own
the
shop.
Botox kind of
Yeah,
stuff or something. Yeah.
and the eyelashes. And
Okay.
she heard from another friend of a massage that I did on another friend, and word got round, and she offered me a room.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
That's how it. That's a great way to
that's brilliant. I said, I mean, it hit me too quickly as well. But I said, I panicked because I said I haven't done the advanced course yet. Let me do the advanced course and let me get some experience.
Yeah.
This. It was like it's too easy. Sometimes when things are too easy, it's like no, this can't be happening. So I'm gonna wait until the advanced course and then decide. I want to do spine manipulation and
Hmm.
tip eventually. This is why I came to do Raynor, because
Okay.
I don't know if you remember Kenneth. I don't know if he's done the advanced course, but
Uh,
he's the
yeah.
osteo mission.
Yeah.
He's the
Not
no,
sure.
he does all that. That's how I got into this, and that
Okay.
eventually I'd like to do a lot more of the bone setting than the massage.
Yep.
It's less hard work on my hands
Oh yeah. Hmm.
and my
Sure.
wrists.
They go really well together though, because as you loosen up the muscles, you can loosen up the bones. And then, so
Yeah.
what I find is that I loosen up muscles, some bones go back into place. Then I do loosen up more muscles, more bones
Yes.
go back into place. It's
Yes.
like layer after layer, and
Yeah.
they have a sort of reciprocal relationship with each other.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's it's just it's a great way to. Oh, somebody's in the waiting room, Ashley.
Who's Ashley? Yes.
Oh,
I think she's trying to text me, but my phone's over there.
okay. Probably saying I'm in the waiting room. I got to keep my eyes on the whole thing. I've only been using Zoom for 2 or 3 years now, and only once every couple of months. So I'm not like an absolute expert on it, but it's a pretty good program.
I'm gonna make a cup of tea.
Okay, yeah, you make a cup of tea. We got another 5 minutes or 3 minutes or something. Hi, Ashley.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
We can't quite see you yet.
Oh, wait till I try and get this on. Okay.
Oh, there you are. Now we can see you.
Was
Hey.
that there?
Hi, welcome to the Zoom meeting.
Thank
Hello,
you, Brandon.
thank you.
Got a couple
Ashley,
other people.
David.
As well.
That's have you been keeping okay?
I've been doing really well. Yeah,
Good.
yeah. I've had a full on year. It's been full on, but I'm
Oh, has
doing
it?
pretty well. Yeah,
Good.
just moving, and yeah, just a lot going on. My father passed away this year and everything like that.
Oh
So,
God, sorry to
yeah,
hear
so
that.
yeah. So, but it's been going pretty well other than that. How about
Good.
yourself?
Yeah, good. Just busy and trying to get busy with these massages as well, which has been good.
Yeah.
So it has, so getting plenty of practice and done.
Oh, that's good. Fantastic. And it's going well for you?
So I am. So I've got a few. I've got two new clients. So one of them's a professional fighter.
Okay.
So I'm finding it like quite interesting and very different to like doing like other people.
Oh yeah, they
So
probably
it
got like
is.
all muscle.
Yeah, and the other one, he's an MMA fighter as well. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's very different.
Oh, good.
So
Good.
it is. But no, they seem to say they feel a difference in that. So I've been down to them a few times, which is good. So long may it continue.
Oh, good. Yeah, we just got to. I mean, the thing is just I always say get your hands on as many people as possible, and
Yeah.
you're going to learn from each person because massage is an art form. It's not just we're not working on robots, we're not working on dummies, and you know what I mean. Like Dave and I can show you as much as we want, but in the end, you got to apply it to each individual to make it work.
Yeah.
So, hi Ty, how are you?
I'm good, Brandon. Thanks very much, and glad
good.
that you were able to connect with me eventually.
I was like, the emails kept bouncing. So yeah, David giving me. I was like, Dave, are you sure this is his email?
Yeah, he put half of one email and half of the other together. But, there we go. Here I am. No, I'm good. Thanks very much. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you
about
too.
your dad.
How's your practice going?
Yeah, slowly. Because I moved house recently, I've also had a bit of a full-on year. I've had about the last 4 months or so without any clients because I've been moving into a new area, settling down, getting established. So I'm looking forward to the kind of impetus I think that coming on this London training is going to give me. But yeah, well enough.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting myself over there and working with you guys.
Super.
Hi, Julie.
Sorry. Hello, everyone.
Hi. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Really well. Yeah.
Oh, good. Welcome to the Zoom meeting. And how long ago did you do the course, Julie?
A year ago, actually. This time last year, down in Devon. I've done the retreat with Dave.
I've heard those are. Everybody's told me they love the retreats there. And what's his name that does the cooking?
Ollie. Ollie, yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, they all are. Moon, he does the yoga. Yeah,
I haven't met
her. Amazing.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it sounds wonderful.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Oh, good.
But no, I'm excited that you're coming.
Yeah, I'm excited to get over there too.
Yeah, no. It would be good. It would be good. Have you been affected by any of your loved ones been affected by the fires in Hawaii?
No, I know the area very well, but Lahaina, and I know people that have been affected. My wife has a friend of hers that lost her house. But yeah, terrible. Yeah,
it's absolutely awful. Yeah. Oh, love to all.
I know it's those kind of places you want to go in and get a team together and massage all the survivors and just, let them have a big cry and whatever needs to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that.
Very sad.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
And Stephen, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good. Nice to have you here. Oh, you suddenly froze.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, good.
This is a great idea to do this connection before.
I think so too. It's the first time I've really tried it, but I just figured, I was thinking about my last advanced course in Canada, and we spent the first 3 hours kind of everybody getting to know each other and talking about things. And I thought, well, let's do this on Zoom because it's all valuable, but we don't need to be sitting in the, I'd rather get the practice when I'm there in England, just get into practical massage as much as possible. Obviously, questions might arise during the course, but I'd love to cover as much as we can so that we free up that time. So that you guys get the maximum benefit and hands-on, basically.
I've been on previous courses for different things, and the whole morning's taken up by getting to know you and sharing stuff. So
that's right, and that can happen, and that's but like I'm hoping that we hit the ground running at 9 a.m. on the Monday, and we just start massaging. If we can get all the introductions, well, I wouldn't mind having maybe 1 or 2 more meetings with you guys just to cover a bunch of stuff, and also for you guys for me to get to know you guys. And there's a couple that couldn't make it to this one, so I'll record them anyway if you can't make it, and then I'll just discuss what we're going to do in the whole format and everything, and what the learning objectives are and that sort of thing. All right. Well, welcome, Clementine.
Yay.
Clementine. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Clementine is. I'll introduce. Clementine did my course in New Zealand with me. So everybody else did the course with Dave. So she'll probably know bits and pieces that you guys haven't learned, et cetera, and she'll have a bit of a different approach, but that's okay. How are you?
I'm good. Good. I'm back in Europe, back in France. So a little bit in old for the massage since April, but I did few. So
how did the ones go that you did?
It was great. I did a lot of festival. I have almost like 40 clients, and everyone's want me to come back. So I'm back in New Zealand in October to do some festivals again. I'm just spraying the Raynor massage. So
that's good. Fantastic. Yeah. And how are people enjoying it in France? Have you Yeah, what's
And it's another approach here because it's a lot of like friends, and they call me the devil.
I've been called worse names
You
than
know,
that.
it's not very common to do massage out
Yeah.
of like what we have like
Yeah, it's more
social.
gentle. When I was in France, I couldn't find anything other than really
No.
what they call the California massage, and
Yeah.
didn't know what that was, even though I've been to California. But you know,
Yeah.
and then
you have to
Thai
find a
massage seems to be
kine
popular.
here. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh well. Good.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yay! Thank you. I'm
You're
happy to
welcome.
be here.
And I know Helen said she was running a bit late because she had a massage at 6:30. So she's here now, and then we can get started. Oh, she went. So yeah, what I thought we would do is basically, I wanted to cover as many questions and answers as possible, and also introductions. Because I was just saying, if we can cover a lot of this. Oh, hi, Helen. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the meeting. Can't quite hear you.
Helen, you're still muted on Zoom. Bottom left corner.
There you are.
You.
You're welcome. Sorry, I know you had a treatment that finished at 6:30, so I'm glad you could make it.
Thank you.
How's your practice going? And obviously, you're busy enough to be doing treatments, so.
Yeah, I get busy weeks and quiet weeks, so yeah, I'm hoping coming in September will help my confidence maybe a bit more. Just in terms of marketing, I think is the key.
Yeah, it's all about getting people on the table and then having those people have the best experience of their life. Even if it's uncomfortable or that sort of thing, but they feel the benefit. That's the key thing, and that's what's going to build your business. And it was interesting. I was thinking about a comment somebody made on my YouTube channel about they're very interested in what I'm doing, but their wife was like, I'd never get a treatment like that, and he's like, how do you build a business up? I'm going, well, for people like your wife, it's like there's so many massage therapists out there that can do light massage and superficial stuff, but for all that, I got 77,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. They obviously like this kind of massage and seeing it. And so, but where do they go? They're always constantly asking me, how can I get a massage like this? So there's always a market for this sort of thing. There's a market for people that want just light massage, but there's a market for people that want deep massage, and who want to actually, fully get rid of their chronic residual tension. And that's kind of what the advanced course is really all about. It's about catering for that particular market of people that are committed, what I call green lights. Green light is somebody who's basically, gone, hey, I've got a lot of chronic residual tension, whether that be emotionally based or whether that be physically based or whatever it may be. And I want to get rid of it. And I want to get to the point of having no tension left in my body. And that's what the advanced course is all about. Then how to get that person from that stage of being very tight to a completely loose state, which may take 10 hours. It may take 40 hours. It could take 100 hours in some cases. And there's various reasons how long it takes, but it's basically, that's the path that we're trying to get to. Okay. So it's very important to understand whenever you're trying to do something to figure out, well, what is my goal? And the goal of Raynor massage in the advanced stage is very much to get rid of anything that's blocking the person from being their true self, in terms of physical tension. But it's not just physical, of course. It's a mental, emotional, it can be all sorts of different things. So our job is basically to completely renovate the human, the person, and get rid of all of that chronic residual tension. And so that's what I'm going to be showing you when we get there, is how to do that in the fastest and most effective manner possible. So one of the key things then is, and it is an art form, right? And it's always going to be different. Every individual, you have to kind of figure out, how am I going to work with this person? Even green lights, person can be green light, but one person's quite different than the other. Okay. So, but the kind of stuff I'm going to show you isn't really suitable for red lights in particular. It's not, and it's not necessarily that you'd have to moderate it a lot for a yellow light. Okay. Has everybody, first of all, had a chance to complete the online course?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Because I cover a lot of that kind of stuff in there.
I'm in the middle of it. I will get
Okay.
done by the time I'll come on the course.
Okay, great. So, because some of the things I really want you guys to really know before I get there is obviously the red light, yellow light, green light, what it means, when a person, wants to get better, but the next thing is the bands of tension. Okay, so I'm going to show you different strategies of how to get rid of the chronic residual tension. And that's going to involve both working from the inside. So, the way I like to start treatments these days is often with a head massage, calm the person down, get them doing deep breathing. And then I clear out any of the chronic residual tension and emotional tension that's there in their belly. And then I would work on the bands. And how I work on the bands is from the tips of the fingers or the tips of the toes, and then feed it into the rest of the body, and use what I call the breath cycle that I've got started, which is a deep belly breathing, then to eliminate what I'm feeding in from the bands. Okay. And that to me, after sort of 35 years of working with people, is the most effective way that you can work with a person. Sometimes so effective that it's overwhelming for like a yellow light or somebody like that. It's going to be so full on that they couldn't handle it. So you're going to have to moderate that. You've got to really watch that breath. I always say we're a servant of the breath. Okay. Because it's not us releasing that tension from the person, it's us working with that person to release their tension, right? So that's why I've found doing a head massage to start with one of the most effective ways, because we can calm the person down and get them into a deeper breathing. Okay, so we want that person's mind to be calm and going into the different brain wavelengths. So we've got different like alpha, beta, delta brain wavelengths, and we want to get that person into like a more meditative state, like when somebody's done some yoga or meditation, and they've calmed that kind of what I call like the chatter of the mind down, and then they can just go deep inside themselves and just allow that deep breath to come in. And that's one of the first things we want to do with people, is get that cycle happening. And then like I said, then we're going to be feeding it. And one of the things that I've learned over the years and is about, like I say, working with the bands and about finding that right amount of pressure to work with like a chopstick or a various tool on the various tips of the toes or on the tips of the fingers. And that requires quite a lot of skill. It requires a lot of empathy, being able to tune right into a person and work with them. Because if you go too hard, it can breach what I call the bridge of trust, where a person goes, oh, this person is not tuned into me, and I'm going to seize up. I'm not going to work with them. So one of the things that I really want to emphasize when I'm there in London is to try and get you guys to really tune into the subtleties of where the ends of the bands are, because they're the ends of the bands, but they're the start of where we work on the bands. Okay, after we've got that person into a nice calm state and a releasing, what I call the rhythm of the breath, or the releasing breath going. And then we feed it. It's like a garbage. I always compare it to like a garbage disposal unit. Like a breath can process a certain amount. Or when I was doing a lot of gardening in Australia, you see a mulching machine, and you're putting sticks in there. But if you put too many in, it jams up, right? And so it stops. So that's why I say we're a servant of the breath. We can only, and a person can only process so much of whatever it is that's creating that tension, whether it be emotions or physical tension, or all sorts of deeper, even spiritual things that can affect a person. They can only process so much, right? And so that's why we feed the breath. We get them breathing, we get them processing, and then we feed it. And patience and perseverance are two of the qualities that are required to make a good therapist. So once you've learned this will definitely set you apart from most other massage therapists. It'll be in a very different league that very few people can find. So you can always make it more simple for people that need it more simple and don't understand the deeper complexities of what we're trying to do here. But it's going to make, if you can understand what I'm going to teach you guys, it'll make you very, very powerful therapists. And there's not many people that understand this. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to, basically trying to condense my 5 years of experience into, this is what's the most important thing after all these years, and even in teaching, I've changed the way I teach. I've changed, because through teaching, you're still working on people. So it's I like to just share with you guys as much as I possibly can to make you guys as good a therapist as you can. But like I said, that's only going to be for the green lights. All right. So first of all, I just thought maybe with that, I'll just see if you had any questions. Anybody have any questions?
Not about that. That sounds clear.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the kind of essence of the course. The practical aspect of the course is what I want to show you, and then it's going to be like what I call making it an individual thing, and you're going to see all sorts of different things happen. Like for example, when people have emotional releases or when energy goes, that's all completely an individual thing. This type of massage that I'm going to simplify for you, but it's still, even when I simplify you, it requires certain, like I say, the empathy and tuning into the subtle energies of a person are one of the most important qualities that make a good therapist. Not just blind techniques, but it's tuning into that person. But when you then apply these to different people who are green lights, then you're going to find all sorts of, I call it the weird and the wonderful, the stuff that comes out of people,
Yeah, I had one lady who was grieving her husband, and I just started the treatment in her head and coming to doing her forearm, and she felt really, really sick like then and there, just working on her arm. So yeah, there must have been like a healing crisis in some form.
Mm-hmm. Because basically what we're going to be doing, it's flushing out on a physical level, but it's flushing out on an emotional level. It's flushing out anything that's not what I call the true person. Actually, it'll find this way. I found like it's so thorough. Nothing can escape it. Yeah. Sometimes people have what I call like fake identities where they've lived a fake life or whatever. And the massage, that's why a person has to be really a green light, because the massage will find that tension that they're holding there, and actually get rid of it. And so, we'll only get rid of it if the person is a green light and wants to. Some people will suddenly realize, oh, I don't know if I want that to move. I may have developed a particular emotional dysfunction very early on in my life, and I've identified as that. That's me. So that's why I say one of the attributes of being a green light is to actually let go of these false things, false attributes of who we are, and that's a really key thing, because I remember doing a treatment even on one of my previous teachers in London, and I did about 8 hours work on her in one session. We went for 3 or 4 hours in the morning, 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon, and she said she didn't even know who she was afterwards. She felt like so much had shifted that a lot of her previous ideas of who she was were no longer there. And so that was an interesting, and I've had different people express certain things like that as well. So that's what this kind of treatment can do on a sort of more subtle level, on a mental and emotional level. That's why it's so powerful. And that's why, like I say, for those people that want this, it's very hard to find. So hope that's not going to blow anybody away or anything like that, is it? You guys all excited about that, or scared?
Yeah, I feel excited. Brandon, Can you say a bit more about the weird and wonderful reactions that you're talking about? I'm imagining that you might mean, bits of healing shock, like feeling physically kind of unwell, also kind of tears, but is there anything else that we could expect?
Oh, gee, Ty, that's a big question. Really weird stuff. Like I've seen exorcisms where people have spirits come out of them. Okay, so that's some of the weirdest stuff I've seen, and they've been intense. If you look on my YouTube channel, you can look at. There's a couple of videos. If you want to see the most extreme reactions, there's one of Brandon massaging John, part 3. I can at the next meeting. I can. But you can Google that. Somebody might find that one. There's another one. Peter one of my students just in the class, day 4 of a certificate class. I still remember it was a big class. Actually, we had 2 teachers, me and another guy. I actually had a little break just because it had been a big class. And I let the other teacher take over for an hour or two. I came back and this guy's like on the table and he's like, his hands are in the air and he's like, and it was. And this guy was like one of the quietest guys in the course, hardly said a word, you know what I mean? And he was hissing and he had a chair. And so we were at a healing center in Sydney, and afterward the people said that we'd released some spirit in there that had played havoc with all their healers over the weekend, and the receptionist had run out. So that's some of the weirdest stuff I've seen. But I've seen like another one. This guy he'd gone through some of the wars in Yugoslavia. And this guy had something really intense in him that came out that was, he, in the introduction to our certificate course, he'd come around. I used to have a big center in Bondi Junction in Sydney, and he'd come along and I got everybody to introduce themselves, and he started talking about himself, and his eyes kind of went a little bit crazy. He goes, sometimes I just feel like I want to kill somebody, and this thing came out of the guy during the massage. But it was pretty intense because it came into me, and I was a bit tired at the end of a treatment. This is probably 12 years ago. Only the second or third time that I'd seen something like that happen. But another treatment, this girl had told me, she was from New Guinea, and in one of my Brisbane classes, and this was after that first thing. And she told me that her twin sister had died at a beach nearby, and her mother had died, and that she used to, kind of be really depressed about it. And anyway, she'd felt this spirit of this guy there that tried to kind of be friends with her, and he came into her. And, we had been talking to me and Bronson, this other teacher of mine, about this experience in Sydney to this class. And she goes, she told us her experience. And of course, in New Guinea, that's quite accepted, right? And she said, can you get rid of him? I'm like, well, I don't know. Fucking now I'm an exorcist all of a sudden, you know what I mean? I felt like I was at the bottom of the class. I didn't know anything, but anyway, so all I did was the same thing that I normally do. I worked up from her feet, and all of a sudden I got to her knees, and I suddenly felt this thing, and he goes, he's here. And I felt, and I just kept working up her knees into her belly, and it went, and he went, or wherever he was attaching in her. And the whole class saw the like the curtains. They have these fly screen curtains in Australia. They're like these kind of colorful. The whole thing moved out, even though the wind was blowing in. And as she said, he's left. And I just suddenly felt. And afterward, this girl completely transformed. Like, she was so nervous about massaging, and like she'd massage very gently and, kind of really ineffective. But after that, she completely changed her personality, and she became so deep into the massage. And this lady at our student clinic from New York had massage all around the world, and she said it was the best massage she'd ever had. And I spoke to her a few years later, and she said he'd never come back, but I felt this thing go. So that's sort of what I call when I remember back into the weird and wonderfuls, it's not just emotional. Like, I see emotional stuff all the time, people crying, people screaming, anger releases. Yeah. That's just, to me, that's just everyday stuff. But some of the weirdest stuff has been like, weird spirit, and it's like, I never even experienced anything like that. I had to do a lot of research afterward on that whole topic just to understand it a bit more. And there's a lot of different traditions, but one mistake don't ever make is to do what I did, which there was, and I know we're getting a bit off topic here, but sort of on topic, but that movie, The Exorcist, where it was about Emily Rose? That was based on a true story, and they've got a recording of the noises. So like 250 Catholic priests in France tried to exorcise these demons out of this girl, and they couldn't. She died, but they made recordings of the noises that these demons made, and they got them on. It's on YouTube, and under the titles is "Don't play this, don't play this." I remember I was in Thailand and I played it, and it filled the room with the worst energy I'd ever felt in my life. Right. So it made me realize how powerful some of the things that people can hold in people are. So that's, it made me contemplate a lot of stuff, seeing those treatments, and it made me really think about what do I want to get involved in and what don't I want to get involved in. It made me realize I probably don't want to go into like a prison and start massaging the guy that just, killed that random family randomly because they were there. I'm like, well, fuck, do I want to deal with what? Either it's him and he's got some sort of really, or maybe he does have some really negative entity in him, but am I ready for that? And at the time I was like, well, no, I'm not really. it's a very hard job dealing with some of those things that people have, you know, and my compassion has limitations, and my protection of myself also has certain things. Because like I say, I picked up something. It took me a few months to get rid of this thing that I picked up from one of my students, you know. So after that, I was like, well, you know, you gotta be a bit careful, but also you got to be strong in who you are and different things. It was I was going through a divorce at the time and things like that. And I was a bit, I think I was, you know, just not as strong in my energy field. So I think one of the things to do is to always recognize how you're feeling. You know, as a healer, we all have our limitations being human beings, right? So what do we want to deal with? Are we feeling, is this out of our league? You know, I think that's the most important thing, is just recognize, don't push yourself to that point where you're exhausted. Okay. Massaging when you're exhausted, I think, is very dangerous, is what I've learned, you know, because you're far more open to things. Okay. But to know yourself, you know, you can practice like your Tai Chi, you can practice like certain things of just getting to know your own energy field and your own protection, you know, when you're dealing with people. I think that's very important. You know, in Chinese medicine, they call it your Wei Qi, which comes out from your body, right? It's like a Qi field. And knowing that about yourself, it's like a martial art, but it's a more subtle energy, you know. And even dealing with this spirit that came out of the guy made me think a lot about certain things, like about how in New Zealand with the Maoris, they do the haka, you know, and how they're very, very base chakra. You know, they come, when they're doing a haka, it's like a noise that comes deep from their belly, and they protect themselves from bad spirits and things that way. And I found that made me really think about that particular culture, because, you know, I tend to be coming from more of an Anglo-Saxon culture. You know, my mom's British, my dad's Australian, but it's not part of our culture to deal with that kind of stuff, right? We tend to be more what I call up in the head. Whereas Polynesians tend to be more in their base and things like that. So yeah, like that made me really think about those certain things. So, you know, like this is what I say, you can't beat experience, right? And some of your experiences aren't always the best in terms of, you know, wow, I got, you know, an entity came into me, but then you learn how to get, when things came into me, they didn't lodge in me like they lodged in them, because I had a stronger field and I knew how to get rid of them. It took 3 hours working on a toe to get rid of that thing. It was lodged in the bands that connected to my big toe. And I remember when it came out of me, and it was really good. I was like, oh, finally get rid of that stupid puppet, you know? Sorry, I swear a lot, by the way. But yeah. Anybody else had any? So, and I've heard all sorts of people.
Sorry.
What's that?
Can I just ask, is that okay?
Yeah.
Hi. When you feel the energy, what you were saying about energy, when you first started practicing, did it kind of come, just sort of, did it slowly build and get stronger, did you feel, or was it kind of there straight away that you could feel? Could I feel like, I do feel the presence of energy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do get like where I do need to breathe out and blow away my breath, which is lovely, you know, and you're kind of like, I can feel that. But I wonder, will it get stronger as the more practice I do?
When I first started, like I started back in like I started massaging in 1990, but then I started doing shiatsu in 91. And I still remember it going, they were talking about energy, and, you know, I'm just a typical sort of Western guy at like 19 or something like that. And I was at University of Sydney studying philosophy and psychology. So I was a more of an intellectual kind of person, you know, and I couldn't feel anything. When people talk about chi, I was just like, oh, it's like stabbing in the dark, I call it, you know. I had no awareness of what I was doing, you know. On that energy level. So certainly it develops. It's not like some people say, oh, Brandon, you got this gift of, you know, feeling energy and all that. Well, I don't know if it was a gift or I don't really think that. I mean, I think we've, you know, all got that potential in us, and it's something you develop. And how you develop that is, you know, it's a kind of lifelong process, you know, becoming more aware of who you are. But to me, my path towards that was kind of a de-intellectualization, and what I mean by that is that I realized my culture was very you know, all about the mind and all about what I think and that sort of thing. But whereas when I was learning shiatsu, it was about coming from your hara, you know, which is your belly and your energy center, And I realized it was partly as just a cultural thing for me, you know, an Anglo-Saxon guy. And I started to learn to really just try and, like, I started massaging with my eyes closed. I started trying to just do a lot of deep breathing and come into what I felt rather than what I thought, you know, because the mind itself, you know, it can change, but it's not like when you're connecting with another person, you really got to think about what is the other person. Are they just, you know, a hunk of meat basically, or is there, you know, a being in there? And to me, that's the most important thing, because when we talk about like the bridge of trust, we're not just talking about some superficial, hi, how you going? My name's Brandon. I'm a, you know, whatever, Australian, Canadian, British, you know, whatever. You know, we're talking about connecting with that person on a deeper level, what would be referred to in Chinese medicine as their chi, or the Atma in Ayurvedic medicine, or, you know, it's the life force is the best English way we can describe that. It's the, you know, the spirit, you could say, of the person, right? Like the word namaste in Sanskrit means I greet the spirit in you, or aloha in Hawaiian is I greet the spirit in you. And that is the basis to me of what I had to kind of learn in order to develop sensitivity to, first of all, the real person in there. And then second of all, to what's not the real person, because that's what we're doing. We're like separating the wheat from the chaff, right? So people can have, you know, tensions, they can have emotional things that are there from when we're children, or just, you know, and I had to learn to actually get rid of some, what I call thought viruses that were in my head, which would disempower me from connecting with my belly. Okay. Connecting with my intuition, my core, you know. And yeah, I found there were some that were programmed in me from my family or from my culture. So for me, it's been a long journey to actually understand about empathy and about sensing chi, you know. And I think that, but I think that that's the most important thing as a therapist that you can do, because if you don't have a good sensitivity to chi, it really doesn't matter that much what techniques you know. Because you're not going to know when to use them, because if you can't sense chi, you can't even sense what you're doing or why you're doing it, or what is the purpose of what you're doing. You're just going to go through and do a bunch of random techniques on people. Right? It's just going to be, you know, like a lot of massage schools teach a bunch of routines, you know, oh, do 5 strokes like this, 2 strokes, you might hit the right spot, you might not, you know. But if you can learn to sense how the life force moves in a person and what is not their life force. So for example, like when a person does have a lot of old emotions in them, you'll sense that. And you go, that's not the person, you know, that's a covering. So in Ayurvedic medicine, for example, they look at the deepest level of the person. They might call it the Atma, the spirit. And then you've got the mind, you know, you've got, you know, different layers basically. And imbalances can occur in those different layers. They even, you know, go from elemental bases, like our most outer layer is the earth. So, you know, our physical body is a lot of it is, you know, the muscles, the bones, etc., earth. Then we got water, you know, which would manifest as blood in our body and that sort of thing. And then we got air, which is, you know, we carry a lot of wind in our body. That's why when we massage people, a lot of people burp, a lot of people fart, a lot of people, we're getting rid of excess air. And then there's even more subtle things to do with our mind and things. And that's why you see people, you know, when we look at them, what the word mind, we could also look at, you know, like I say, the repressed emotions, the repressed things that are in there that we carry that are stopping us from being like just pure spirit in the moment. And that's most people. Most people are holding on to stuff, you know, and that's why so many people are having emotional releases when we massage them, because they're not processing those emotions at the time and they're holding on to them. But not everybody does, right? You can't sit there and presume that, oh, Raynor massage is all about releasing emotions in people, because some people, they don't have trapped emotions. I've massaged some people, you can massage them as deep as nothing. So not everybody's different, but a lot of people, you know, have these different, what I call the weird and the wonderful. The wonderful is to me is when people, what I call the wonderful is seeing like that person free up from that, what I call straitjacket we could call it chronic residual tension, but that word could encompass so much. It can encompass so much emotional garbage. It can encompass physical tension, emotional, mental, so much. And when you see people free up, you see like their eyes brighten, because there's the saying, the eyes are the windows to the soul, right? And as a naturopath, a lot of my work used to be involved in iridology, and that's the iris of the eye rather than the pupil. But iridology would say the iris is the window to the body, but the pupil is the window to the soul. And when you see somebody have a really good massage and they really let go of some garbage, you see their eyes brighten up, and you can look into their eyes and see them better, see who they really are as a person on a deeper level, not just the physical. It was interesting even just seeing like I was just saying to some of you guys, like my father just died a few months ago, and I was there with him as he passed away, and just looking at that whole difference between a living body and a dead body, and immediately, once he died, like, I felt his head and it was cold, there's warmth to the soul. There's just a completely different feeling to a living body and a dead body, and so that's what I think is really important to understand, is we're not just massaging a body here, because you could massage a dead body and you'll never loosen it up. The rigor mortis will set in and it'll just decay. So the most important thing, and that's what Oriental massage really emphasizes, whether it's Chinese, Japanese, or Thai, and also even Hawaiian massage, all the systems, or all the paradigms of thought and systems of massage that have been around on this planet for thousands of years all emphasize the chi. They emphasize the life force. Okay, so whereas Western massage tends to be more, that's only been around for 50 or 100 years maximum, it's all about blood flow of the muscles and a loosening of the muscles. But my experience, I've studied both, and understanding the chi will make you a much, much more effective therapist on so many more levels, not just like, oh, I loosened up a muscle, but it'll also help you loosen up the muscles. So there's a really good video of me massaging in New Zealand, but just before the pandemic, I was at the New Zealand Institute of Sport, and I was working on one of my students who was a javelin thrower, and she had a very tight shoulder. And this massage I completely loosened up her hand and all of her fingers, and then loosened up her shoulder really quickly, because I got to the roots of the tension. And there was no emotional thing for her. She'd obviously had a good life, and she was a good person, and there was no emotional, but it was still the same thing. Get the roots of the tension out, and the physical will be fixed as well. So, you can't, like I said, I could have, we have to make the massage suit the person, and tension can come from physical reasons, like she was doing it from being an athlete, or it can come from emotional reasons, or it can come from mental, or it can come from a person leading, like you'll see with that guy. If you ever watch that video about Peter, you can check it out, Peter's exorcism. I wasn't even in the first two parts of it, because that's when I was away, but I came back, and then I ended up just working on his tummy to get this thing out. And afterward, he said he felt like his whole life had been a lie up to that moment. And he actually became a teacher for our school for a while. Like it changed him so much that he stopped being a carpenter, and but it was interesting, his whole experience, that his experience of that massage was that his life had been a lie up to that time. So psychologically, we can go, well, why? But he had something in him that other people, I'd never seen it before. That was my first time. But this massage got rid of it. So I hope I'm not getting too sidetracked there. What was your question there again, sir?
No,
you
it
get me
was
talking,
perfect.
and I just
Thank
start
you.
going on and on.
No, it was perfect. Thank you.
I mean, for me, this whole career has just made me, well, that was about empathy, right? And how to, to me, that's...
It was about, the energy, and whether it progresses over time, like more, yeah.
Well, it should progress, hopefully, if you're on the right path, and you're trying to, one of the ways to be more sensitive to energy is to, first of all, tune into yourself better and better. Okay. To understand who you are, the real you, beyond, say, what I call thought viruses, which are things that disempower you. So many things can disempower us and teach us not to be in tune with who we are. Sometimes people, oh, you can't, I don't know, don't believe that, or don't, like there's certain things that even as
You've got
children,
to be open.
you've got to be open, but you've got to be also tuned into yourself, and not allow people to take you away from who you really are, because that's a lot of culturalized, what is it called, socialization, and like in Japan, they have a saying that if the nail sticks out, hammer it down, because they have a very strict definition of what it means to be Japanese, right? And I'm not saying, some of that's probably very good and some of it's not. Okay. And you'll find that in every culture, there's the whole teasing thing that can take place for somebody who's different. But as a therapist, we have to understand what is true and what do we sense and what is real. And that's what people are hiring us for, in a sense, is our ability to have perception of what is life energy, what is health, and who we are, and how we can help people grow to be more true to themselves. And that's what makes a therapist, from somebody who's just mechanical, doing a few different strokes, into somebody who can be, you're hiring them for their perception. So your perception, that's what's going to make somebody an outstanding therapist, basically, is your ability to perceive. Your ability to perceive what is our goal here, which means that the goal is always to clear the life force and clear anything that's stifling that person, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever it may be. That's our goal. Get them more tuned into who they really are. So that requires perception, that requires empathy, that requires us just to, know what is true from who we are, not from the mind, and so that requires also a lot of, personal strength, in a sense, to not be taken off our path by people who might, like say on my YouTube channel, right? Like I'll do a lot of stuff. I get a lot of people comment on there. Some of them are very rude about, oh, this is like quackery, or this is, because it's to do with subtle things. It's, and if I sat there and cared like what they thought, then I might change who I am to fit these hundreds of or thousands of people that are, critical of what I do, even, so you need to overcome that. You need to overcome that caring. You just got to go, this is what I sense, because that is your only thing you can really rely on, in a sense. So, but you want to be making that really clear so that it's real. You're not living in delusion or anything like that, right? You need to be clear about that. And then you got to kind of go, okay, I'm not perfect, but I got this vision, and then results will come. Then, because from what your vision is of who the person is, what the goal is, what is tension, what is not, then comes your ability to clear that on a person that wants it to be cleared. And you'll have people that you'll get your more amazing results, because you're also like what I call the eye in the hurricane. Because, in a hurricane, they just had that hurricane pass over something like California and places like that. It's like the middle of it's calm, right? And then the outside is more. And when we're working with people that are going through, say, different emotional releases or energy releases or whatever it may be called, we need to be very centered inside of ourselves. That's why then from that centering, we can protect ourselves from the energy that's flying around sometimes. Yeah. So no, like, to answer your question, it's taken me a lot of years. And it's a journey, that you learn from. And sometimes you make mistakes, like sometimes you let too much energy, and sometimes you let somebody take you off your path. Even clients, some people can like be in a kind of psychological state of lying about themselves. I had a friend of mine who'd grown up, and had, a lot of problems with his parents, and, I tried to, he expressed a lot of symptoms of repressed anger, but when I expressed that to him, out of a desire to sort of help him and let him be aware of it, he just got angry with me, and he said, I'm not fucking angry, and I went, okay, you're not fucking angry, what am I supposed to, but if I was his therapist, he would be a yellow light or a red light, because he's not recognizing his own problems and wanting to get rid of them. But people will play psychological games with you too, is what I found in my career, sometimes working on people. Like, if you're not strong inside of yourself about what you see, people can try and like influence that, because maybe they're what I call like their false ego, false sense of who they are, wants to be, told I'm not an angry person, or somebody might have buried sadness. Like for a lot of men in the older generations in particular, there was a cultural, thought wire saying men shouldn't cry. So even in my father's generation and a lot of men I've dealt with in that generation, they consider it a sign of weakness to cry. So therefore, if you start to access some grief inside of them, they might just deny that. So I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of men, say in Australia and places, have high rates of suicide, is because they don't know how to deal with a lot of their emotions. Okay, so we have to be strong, even though we can't always buy into what people think about themselves, because that could be a lie. And what we're doing is we're trying not to buy into those lies, because buying into those lies isn't actually going to help the person. But at the same time, that person has to accept our vision if they want us to be their therapist on this deeper level that we're working on. Does everybody understand that? It's a very important position as you get, and this is why I say it's not just about qualification in the sense of I got this piece of paper, right? I got a certificate, I got a diploma, I got different qualifications, but I don't look at them so much as being how qualified I am. I look at how qualified I am as being, what am I ready to deal with, and how good is my perception of what is the real person and what is their tension, and then having some skills in how to get rid of that and transform this, separate the wheat from the chaff. Or I call it, like, another way I look at it is like a diamond that's covered in mud. You got this beautiful diamond, which is the real person, the soul, and it's covered in mud. And some of that is very thick mud, or it's very hard, and you got to chip away at it. Sometimes some of the mud might come away easy, and some of it's chipping away. And sometimes it's like people identify that mud as being themselves, which is then not a green light. But that's what we're doing. To me, it's chipping away. It's helping the person who wants to be more in tune with themselves get rid of all the gunk and the baggage and the crap that they're holding on to. That's the other analogy I use, is being a glorified sewage worker. Because basically we get the glorification, well, thanks very much, I really help, but all we're doing is working with their garbage, their sewage. Okay. And that's why you got to be like a nurse. You got to have a lot of compassion for people. Being a nurse isn't always fun, right? Like dealing with bedpans isn't, it's like being a parent, it's not the funnest thing isn't cleaning diapers. Having had 4 children, I can assure you that that's not my funnest part about being a dad, cleaning a dirty diaper. It's the same thing with what we're doing with this work. We're not doing it because I don't always work because it's fun. I work because I'm helping people. And actually, sometimes it's not fun. It's not always fun, especially when you're swimming in other people's shit, basically, or it's done out of love. It's done out of, and obviously it's a business as well, and we're combining love with business, so that we're making a living doing it. But really should be your motivation, is caring for people, and then of course, like I said, we all got to make a living as well, so we got to balance that so that we can do it properly. But if your motivation isn't really to help people, then really you're in the wrong job as far as I'm concerned.
I have a question for you, Brent. How do you, when you feel it's a no, but the person is pushing to come to you? Like, I will give you my example. The festival has been like 30 days. We met in New Zealand. I know how to use my tools. And this man is a healer in the zone, and between my client, he really wants to have a massage from me. And I don't really feel it. The man is very tall, and like how short I am. And I'm like, there's something to say no, but I'm like, okay, I will say yes. And he actually came on my floor, and it was kind of an exorcism. I had 1 hour to do it. Like you said, you spent 3 hours with this man on a little exorcism. It was huge. It was the same for me. And I have to call one of my friends, Maori, and another friend with the drum to help me take care of this man. But I feel at the beginning it was a no. But I didn't have this boundary. I was like, I don't have energy for this man. I did what I could,
Yeah.
and I was frustrating and very angry after because I didn't want him to come in my floor like this.
Yeah. So, that's a journey. I call that being nice. And it's not always nice to yourself, right? It's like we're taught to be nice and do what other people want us to do. And usually, but it's actually not necessarily that good a thing to do, is what I've learned, is to not trust yourself and let other people basically push you around and do what they want to do. It's actually very dangerous to let that happen. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. I'm just saying, because I've seen that happen to me so many times, and one of my things about my journey in life is to kind of trust myself more and more and more as I get older, and not kind of I don't want to put myself into positions where I'm somebody's like kind of either a punching bag or even like an exorcism bag, because like what you're saying, you're not feeling it. Maybe you were tired. Maybe you just didn't like Jill. Maybe the guy had ulterior motives. You don't know, right? But somewhere inside of you were saying no, and he was pushing himself onto you. My thing is to learn to trust your own self more and more, and stand up and not be polite. What I probably meant is not be polite. Nice isn't the right word. Polite, because you can be nice and tell somebody to get lost or piss off. Boundaries, as Stephen said, boundaries. So however you create those boundaries, but make sure you protect yourself first. Think of yourself like a fort, like inside. I always like the yin and the yang. We can look at like I always talk about our yin is our sensitivity and our empathy in that, right? But our yang is like our boundary, to not let somebody trample us. I use that analogy that in Africa they say, if you got a nice garden, you got to have a fence up so the elephants don't trample it. Right. Even in Australia, like when I was gardening, we had to protect from the wallabies, or in America it's from rabbits, but also if in your house, right? Like I got 2 young children, very yin, because they're young and they're spiritually very open. I'm not going to let anybody come into my house, right? Like it's kind of like you could have a pedophile walk in your door, right? So it's kind of like the boundary is the front door, right? And whatever else you use to protect your house, in where I am in Missouri, almost everybody has guns, in their house to protect them, and that's their, but whatever, they're going to protect their house one way or the other. So you just got to kind of trust yourself, and not you can just go, hey, wait a minute, somebody's saying that to you. It's like, oh, look, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling it today, or whatever, or I'm exhausted. Maybe another day, or maybe I think somebody else might be a better therapist for you. All right. You have that right. You have a right to choose your clients. You have a right to say no. Do you have like some issue, like some stuff like about saying no? Have you got?
Probably. Yeah, especially for client. And I know that, yes, I can do it, but I just don't have the time, and I just don't have the energy for it. So,
no, still protect yourself. Otherwise you'll just exhaust yourself, or you'll do what I did and pick up energy from somebody. I did it more out of arrogance than I just thought I was, but I knew I was tired, and I also wanted to help. There was a combination. I just thought, I can help anybody, but it wasn't helping myself. And, if I'm messing myself up in the process, then it wasn't going to really be of any benefit to anybody. So I had to learn, protect yourself first, look after yourself first, because if you don't look after yourself, you're not going to be of any help to anybody. You got to have something excess to give. You know what I mean? Like you got to, as a therapist, you can't be running on empty. If you're running on empty, it's not going to work, so you got to make sure that you're being nurtured, make sure that your true self is being supported, And, there's that whole thing, physician, heal thyself. And so, but a lot of us, we get into this profession because we care about people, and then we end up putting ourselves last, right? The martyr complex, I call it. So that's one thing you don't want to get into. It's just going to exhaust yourself, basically. I mean, you think about it, there's 7 billion people on this planet, like you can't help them all. That's the thing. We're all limited, right? We're very limited. We can just do the best we can. But you're certainly not going to help people if you exhaust yourself. or if you pick up, and like I said, if you're not feeling it and the guy's got a lot of heavy energy, which it sounded like you did, you need to just go, whatever way you're going to say it, no, I'm not feeling it today, Yeah. We've all got these journeys, right? Like to be better, and to protect ourselves. We're all on these journeys. So, don't be harsh about it. Just learn from your mistakes.
Brandon, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I think it's that difficult of setting up a clinic. So I did the practitioner course diploma back in November. It was in November, I think. And I've been practicing since December. But it's that balance of trying to set up a business that's going to pay my bills, and having the confidence to say no to clients that you might not want to take on. And also, I think probably more and more of us are using systems that help us in others. I have an online booking system, so I don't screen clients before they come. So I guess, how do we marry that?
Well, with an online booking system, what I would do is an online case history. And I would probably do the fact that, because the thing is that not everybody's a green light, right? But not everybody's even healthy enough to receive massage right away. So you want to make sure you know your contraindications. But if people fill in a case history form online at the same time as they make a booking, like what you can say is this booking is, tentative, right? Pending, regarding, and then you may even want to have, so you get them to fill in, I would get them to fill in a case history form, and like the case history forms we use cover like things like emotions and things like that. If you got any, and then if there's something, say for example on a physical level that you're concerned about, then you may want to get like a doctor's permission note, for example, beforehand. If they're particularly fragile, say they had surgery a month ago, you may go, no, I don't want to, or I will only work on you if you get your doctor to send me a note saying this is safe to massage you at a light, medium, or deep level. And you would then put that in, you'd have a folder for each patient where you would then even if it's a folder online, right, you would put their case history form, and then I would put any sort of permission slips after reviewing their case history form from their doctor with that folder. Keep it there, that you got it backed up for 7 years or something. But that will also cover you from any malpractice claims. So you don't want somebody to say, well, I told you verbally that I had, cancer, or this or that, or whatever it may be. And then you massage me and the cancer spread. Well, with anybody who has cancer, I'd always just get a doctor's permission slip, because the thing is, the same with medications. Like, we're not, in our field, you can always look at what's called a MIMS manual and look at medications and things, but that's not our training. So whenever you're concerned, like, oh, this person's on a lot of medication, I don't know what that medication does or what its side effects are, do they bruise easier, et cetera, you can then get their doctor who prescribed that medication, or the doctor who did that surgery, or the doctor who's treating that person, to say, yes, it's safe to massage. Okay. And I would do the same for people on certain, medications for psychological conditions and that sort of thing as well. And then what you could do is have a video meeting with the person even before, like a Zoom meeting, for example. But I would get them to also, like, say you're just wanting to specialize in what I'm teaching you guys, you could have a little video about what is Raynor naturopathic massage. What is, so that you're basically then, instead of repeating it every time, like you get a bit like, oh God, how many times have I said this? You got a video of it, and they can then, you could have whatever in that video. You could even have a couple of, demonstration massages, or what are you likely to expect from this, and basically then everybody has to, before they make a booking, everybody, watches this, because even though you could say, oh, I'm desperate for clients and I want, in one sense, you don't want bad clients, right? Even though you earn a little bit of money from them, they're actually far more energy draining than their money's worth. You're better off really focusing on getting those good clients, and using whatever energy you got to massage green lights and to massage people that are going to appreciate what you do. And keep your space open for those people, right? And then kind of like, hey, this isn't appropriate for you. Anybody, you don't want sleazy people, for example. You want to have some sort of boundaries up against anybody who's going to, try and bring sexual energy in towards your massage and change the nature of what we're trying to do. the same with, just like I said, like yellow lights and people that don't want to get better, or that sort of thing. Anybody who's, you just feel like, hey, I don't really feel like we can build the bridge of trust together and work together, because you can't build a bridge of trust with everybody, right? That's not realistic. I can't. I think it's delusionary if you think you can, because there's just some people you can't work with, right? So you want to get those people that you can work with. And so, like I say, if you're doing it online, that's what I would recommend. Definitely an online. I think I remember the first time I went to a dentist or something 10 years ago, and they got me to fill in a case history form online. And it was one of those aha moments. I just thought, wow, if I was ever to open up a massage business, I'd get people to do that right away. Because the thing is, then instead of them turning up and then them saying something that you got like, question marks about, like, you're concerned about a medication, you're concerned about something, you've already seen it, and you've already got, oh, look, I have some concerns about this particular condition. Could you please get your doctor to write a permission slip? And it's all done before the person gets there. Otherwise, they're wasting their time. You're wasting your time. Because if they turn up and you're not ready to massage them, well, and then it's all a frustrating experience for everybody. So I think that's with an online booking system, definitely get them to fill in their case history form online, review it. And then, like I say, if you have any doubts whatsoever, set up a video interview with them for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just to cover certain things.
Can I ask a different kind of question?
Yeah, sure.
I know our scheduled meeting time's over, but
that's okay.
There's just over two weeks to go. I've not heard anything yet about, that, like the fundamentals, like, do we bring lunch? Should we bring chopsticks, oils, blankets, start and end times, structure of the day? Where do we stay? Is there any guidance on that? So I don't know if other people have from Dave.
Did you get the welcome letter that I sent with the receipt?
I've not had anything.
Oh, okay. I'll send everybody.
It could be that Dave has the wrong email address, and that was a problem that
yeah, well, that's probably it.
To earlier today.
No wonder you haven't heard anything.
So yeah, I just don't even know what the basics are.
All right. So it's going to be from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I think I do remember Dave saying something about the venue having some changes on the Friday where we might start a bit earlier. I just have to review that with him. I was hoping he would be able to make it to this meeting, but I'll check with him. So the Friday might be an earlier start, and we go till 2, but without a lunch. It's going to be at the Thames Rowing Club.
Yeah.
Some of you guys would have done your course there. It's the second last rowing club when you're basically, I don't know what the name of the street is, but if you Google it, it's right on the river, on the Thames River in Putney. You'll be able to Google it. I'll wait outside, or you'll, something like that.
But if there's a welcome letter already, I don't know if it's possible for you to email it to me, Brandon. And
I'll check. I probably went through to your wrong email, and I'll just forward it on. That should have all those details. You're welcome to bring your own lunch, or there's restaurants and all that. It's in London, so there's a few restaurants that are fairly close. Bring your own blankets, 4 towels or blankets if you guys prefer blankets. I don't know, like what the weather's likely to be. Anybody check? Is it warm that time of year in London, or it could be anything, right? It could be warm, could be cold.
Yeah, it's been raining a lot here, but it's warm enough.
It's warm enough, yeah. Probably here where it's 105 Fahrenheit outside or something. So that's what I do. Bring 4 towels. You're welcome to bring your tools. I do have some tools with me. I've got about 5 or 6 really good chopsticks, some Thai massage tools, but I don't quite have enough tools for everybody if everybody was using the same tool at the same time. So if you guys wouldn't mind, we can go over them. I can tell you what my thoughts are about the tools that you guys have, whether they're good or, whatever. And obviously everybody's an individual, but yeah, if you wouldn't mind bringing some tools, that would be great. Other than that, I just wanted to make sure that everybody's done the online certificate course. And accommodation is terrible in that area. I just give you guys a quick warning. I'm staying at the Premier Inn, which is just up the road, and it's quite expensive. I'm bringing the family over, so we just got this kind of family room, which is all tightly packed in and quite expensive. But the reviews, I looked at a lot of different hotels in the area, and a lot of them, if they were in any way affordable, would get like 4 or 5 out of 10 stars in reviews. So Dave would know better about accommodation than I would. I used to rent just Airbnbs when I'd come over there. But I'll do. Who needs accommodation there, by the way?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, unless you guys wanted to kind of get together and you know, get an Airbnb and hope you guys don't fight or anything, you know. That may be better. In my experience, I don't know. What depends what your budget. I mean, I always look on Expedia or you know, Booking.com or something like that. But it's, yeah, my experience of that part of London is that you're getting very tiny accommodation for quite an expensive price. But Dave might have. Anybody got any ideas on that? Anybody know some good accommodation?
I did booking.com for myself and Helen. Hi, Helen, because we done the Devon training together. So, and we're staying at the Spread Eagle, but we don't know what it would be like.
What is
it's
Spread
like
Eagle?
a 10-minute walk away.
Okay.
From the rowing club. So it's a pub hotel called the Spread Eagle.
Oh,
so yeah, it just seems to be the best deal for us for two people in a room sharing.
How much was it, sorry?
It's 600, so yeah, it just worked out good for us, really.
I got 4.9 out of 5 stars on Google. I just had a look at it.
Do you agree? Do you think we've done all right?
It sounds great to me. That sounds great.
Yeah,
especially if you're not bringing a whole family or something. So that
it's
sounds
just me
like
and
a great...
Helen, and hopefully practicing on each other later. But we've not done breakfast and that. We're just going to get it on the way.
Okay.
Get all our meals.
I was thinking of what I'm going to wear. I think I need to bring like a Ghostbusters suit after the story at the beginning.
So the main thing about a dress code, I just say everybody dress professionally, you know. So, you know, no like low cut things for women and you know, no tight booty shorts and all that. You know, I want to desexualize a class. Sometimes people get very sexual, you know, dress, and I think that it just takes people's minds off of what we're trying to do, you know. So my main thing is dress professionally, you know, and just basically think we need to desexual. As a therapist, we're desexualizing, not trying to sexualize. You know, we don't want people thinking about us in a sexual manner. So not too much makeup for women. No like singlet tops for guys or girls. You know, that's kind of how I like to run classes, because I've had it before where people start to get all dressed up, all sexy and stuff, and it causes like so many problems in the course, you know. So that's my main thing about dress code. I think it's better personally to dress like with a like you know, I don't know, let me just I have my business logo on a t-shirt, you know. I think that's better. Like if you have a business shirt, I'm not talking about like a collared shirt, I'm just talking about like a professional looking shirt that you can, you know, that's the best way. If not, I would recommend just plain, you know, without slogans. You know, sometimes people like to wear slogans. I always say slogans on your shirt can also isolate you. Like if you're, you know, wearing a slogan with a football team, then what happens to the people that don't like that football team? They might feel less comfortable with you, right? Whatever, you know, unless you're working for that football team, then wear your football team, you know. But my recommendation on dress codes for people is, like I say, you know, keeping it professional, desexualizing, and then, you know, something saying perhaps, you know, like your business name or just keeping it plain otherwise. So that's sort of like what I recommend you guys wear. And then, you know, depending upon the weather, obviously, but I think it's heated in there and it's usually pretty comfortable. Yeah, that's no dangling jewelry. I'd recommend not wearing rings. You know, people, if you massage with rings, you can like scratch people and all that. I had somebody one time tell me, not in my class, but they told me a massage therapist they knew had a dangling necklace, and it caught somebody's eyelid one time when they were doing a face massage. Ripped their eyelid. So, you know, keep the jewelry to a minimum. Yeah, and also, do you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be doing a lot of head massage and stuff. So, you know, hairstyles could get a bit messed up. So, yeah, any other questions? And then, like I say, if you're particularly sensitive to the cold, like bring enough stuff so that if it does get cold, when you're on the massage table, because you're going to be using your own towels when you're getting treated, right? Or your own blankets, whichever you guys prefer. I use towels here, but I'm more used to practicing in warm climates. So, I know Dave likes to encourage people to bring, what does he call it in the welcome letter? Like
fleece blankets.
Fleece blankets. Yeah. So like most of the places I've been practicing, that would be way too hot. But it's London, right? And we don't know what the weather's going to be like in mid-September.
4 seasons in one day.
4 seasons in one day. That's right.
Yeah,
So that would be the recommendation.
2 blankets, 2 towels.
2 blankets, 2 towels. The most important thing is, you have a big blanket, a big towel or a big blanket to cover the massage table. Do you guys say massage or massage in England? Massage, right?
Massage.
I've had to keep changing it when I'm in America to say massage and in Canada. So anyway, I'd bring a big towel or something to cover the table, and then one around the face hole, and then the rest is one for covering you and warmth, however much you're going to need, for warmth. Some people really feel the cold, some people don't. So any other questions? So what I was thinking is we had a couple of people couldn't make it to this meeting, but also if you guys just have any questions that you want to, you go away thinking about, do you want to have another, quick meeting before the course, just to cover any questions that you have?
I do have some questions for a few clients. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to ask the questions now? I'm happy to.
I can ask you now. In 2 months, I'm going back to New Zealand. I have a friend who cut her tendon in the thumb, so she have to stop massaging, and she can't dance, and she's just afraid. The thing is, I would like to help her, and she told me she may have an abrasion because she have a lot of scar tissue. So I don't know if, and apparently she will have more scar tissue on scar tissue. So I want to know if it's a good idea for me to go straight to the thumb.
Yeah, but it may be a good idea. Again, obviously without, looking at her, but if I would avoid the area where so on her thumb, you're saying it's more like down here, perhaps?
I think she cut the tendon here, and now she just has difficulty, and she can't move her thumb. Only when she's doing this and she do this, she can't move. It's just like get straight like this.
Well, I would tend to work at the very tip and work down. I'd spend a lot of time here. I'd probably tend to avoid the area where she's cut her tendon, just because you don't want to aggravate an injury. But depending upon how old it was, and but if you do hear properly, that'll get the roots of any tension out. Because obviously with an injury, there's certain things that tension can be aggravating, but there's certain things that are just due to the injury. Obviously we can't fix an injury. We can't, broken bones and things like that, but we can help get rid of the tension that could be adding to the injury, or that could be restricting circulation, or the circulation of blood, or the circulation of chi. So I would start at the top, but not work on, I'd be hesitant to work on any area that she's like cut a tendon, because you need that to heal. So a basic idea that I like to follow is with injuries, I work above and below an injured area. Right? I don't like to work on the injury itself, not until a significant amount of time has taken place for the injury itself to heal in whatever way it's going to heal.
There's an addition on the thumb, as she's taking a lot of antidepressant. So the first and last time I work on her, she can't feel anything. She can feel that it's powerful and it's painful with a chopstick, but I'm like, but she can't feel anything. So it's just like,
yeah. So it's funny sometimes working on people with antidepressants and anti-anxiety and things like that, because it kind of numbs down some of the emotions. Like if they weren't on those drugs and you massage them, they'd probably have a lot of emotion come up. But working with people on anti-anxiety, antidepressants, it changes it. I still think it's beneficial. It's just you're going to get reactions that you weren't expecting, and it's going to be not, like I say, I don't think it's as good. They may end up wanting to get rid of the antidepressants, the anti-anxiety, once they see what the massage can do. It's not something, you have to be very careful not to ever advise a person to come off of medication, especially related to mental health, because you're entering into a difficult legal territory. If something happened to her, it's not within your scope of practice to advise people to come off of medication. But if they wanted to, then you don't have to say no,
Yes,
don't do it.
yeah.
They're free, right? They're a free person, you know. So you just got to be a little bit careful about that kind of stuff, you know. That's you know, making sure, because otherwise if something happened, then a doctor said, oh, the massage therapist advised them to come off of medication. They're not, you know, you're not qualified in that area, et cetera, et cetera. So just be careful about that. Like I've seen it a lot before where people come off of their medication because they feel better, or they know that the massage is going to help them more. But they've got to make that decision for themselves. And, you know, I don't ever tell them, you know, come off of it or whatever. You know, they just sense it. They sense that this is going to treat the actual problem rather than just numb it out, because that's what, you know, that's the other weird, what I would call weird and wonderful, you know, is working like when you think about it, a lot of the antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications are actually similar to what are prescribed on with street drugs, you know, people that are into heroin or people that are into certain things, right? A lot of those drugs, not all of them, but some of them are designed around like numbing how you feel, you know. And I still remember the time I worked on a girl who was coming out of drug detox and, you know, from opiates of some sort, of heroin, I believe. But and what happened is when I started working on her legs and the energy started moving, she just curled up into a ball and protected like her belly. And because her whole approach previously was to numb out her emotions. Whereas this is about bringing awareness to them and letting them go. And it's completely different than the medication approach, right? For me, it's far healthier, but it's a completely opposite approach because you have to feel them first and then let them go, you know, and that's why people are crying, people are screaming, people are, you know, but like a lot of both the you know, any approach to do with like a lot of the opiates and stuff like that is pain killing, but it's like the pain is there for a reason to tell you there's a problem. I understand the use of opiates in wars, and, you know, somebody's had an arm blown off or something like that. And even they can be very powerful for temporary pain relief, but they're not really good for something like chronic, you know, depression or, you know, or even that. So it does change things when you're working with people on these different medications and things like that. So again, we just do the best we can. If in doubt, if you're saying no, like I said, you may want to make sure you're working with the person, which would be a doctor in that case, who would be prescribing these sorts of things, and just saying, because then if there was ever any problem, then if legally you're not going to be the one held responsible, because the doctor would be the one, whoever made that decision to, you know, either, you know, prescribe or not prescribe them, is the one to blame. Or that even if they said it's safe to massage and then they go, oh, look, I had this reaction, well, the doctor said it was safe, that they're the ones that would be sued, usually, not always. It's very rare for a massage therapist to get sued due to malpractice. You know, it's possible. In my experience of looking at legal aspects of massage therapies, the vast majority of people who get sued or whatever are for professional boundary violations. In other words, somebody was sleazy, basically. The next one is excessive bruising. And I've looked at excessive bruising, you know, quite a lot. And you can't ever 100% guarantee you're never going to bruise a person, because some people bruise when you just touch them, right? Some people, you know, but you can minimize bruising. And the way we minimize bruising is to really make sure that we work the ends of the bands first, because most bruising will occur like in the inner part of the thigh, the inner part of the calf, or the inner part of the arm, or the outer part of the leg, or but it's usually on the big muscles. It can occur on smaller areas too. And so what I call bad bruising is usually when people have overworked a big muscle and they haven't got the roots of the tension out. So they haven't gone in and done enough detail on the toe or the finger. And then they're going, oh, I'll go quite hard on the inner part of the leg or the inner part of the arm. And then they bruise the person. That's what I call bad bruising, because now I spend 70, 80% of my time on the first joint of a finger or the first joint of a toe. And if I've really released that, then I move on and work the next joint, and then up into the foot and up into the leg. And I find that avoids 80 or 90% of bruising. Not 100%, but it cuts it down by 80 or 90%, because you're not having to work hard up into the thighs, up into even into the biceps or triceps. You know, you've done your hard work on the very end of the joint, and that can bruise, but it doesn't bruise very often. And if you're the more sensitive you are to energy, the less that's likely to bruise, because you're working with the breath, you're working with them breathing into it. So yeah, again, I hope I didn't get sidetracked too much there, but that's what I would say is avoid bruising, as much as possible. But the people bruise easier who are, the more pale their skin is. Women bruise easier than men, and then bigger people usually bruise easier than thinner people. So the more body fat a person has. So if you've got a pale skinned woman with a lot of body fat, then it's like an 80 or 90% chance that she's going to bruise or something, in my opinion. So you want to minimize that by just doing all your deeper stuff on the very ends of the bands and making sure that they're really loosened before you move up the bands. And I think that avoids so many problems. And that's why I do it. I know it's going to be so foreign for a lot of you guys. It's going to be like, oh, this is so weird. It's so different than regular massage. But it's what avoids a lot of problems. It's most effective, and it avoids problems because we have what we call good and bad pain. And good pain is where we are finding and getting rid of tension. But bad pain is where we're finding tension, not always tension, but sometimes, but we don't get rid of it. And that's what often occurs. And that's why it's just so important to understand. That's why I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the advanced course trying to emphasize really working the tips between like the tip of the finger and that first joint. Because if you get that done, then all the bands that are associated with that finger or thumb or toe are going to just loosen, and they'll start to melt like butter as you go higher up. And you don't have to go really deep and hard into here because you've loosened the roots of it. And that's, like I said, what I've figured out after a lot of years to be really effective. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time on that. I really want, and then you guys will be, like I said, it'll set you apart. I just had an email from somebody who did my advanced course in Canada a year ago, and they were just their clients are just blown away at how effective they are. And it was really nice to hear from her. But it'll take a little bit of time to absorb. And practice. And what I also emphasize with you guys, if you want to learn more about how important and how powerful it is, practice on yourself a bit with a chopstick in the finger. Practice, really learn, because you want to learn what it feels like to go too hard. You want to learn what it feels like to go too light. You want to learn what it feels like to just get that right amount of pressure and then breathe into it and letting it go. Because what I'm always saying is it's not about us going in there. It's about us finding that tension and then the person breathing into it and letting it go. So that's something else, a bit of homework you guys can do before the course, is just get a chopstick and really work. See if you can find where that final point of a band is, right? The end point, which is like right in here on a thumb. And play around with it. Go a millimeter this way, a millimeter that way. Go and play around with the tips of your toes, the tips of your fingers. And that to me is because it's the reason why it's one of the hardest things to teach is because you can't feel it physically on a person. It's something, but you'll feel it when it's done to you energetically. If you have any charge whatsoever in there, which the vast majority of us do, you will feel it. And so you want to learn, that's what you're wanting to learn, not just to feel from the outside the physical tension, which you can feel that band physically as it comes up here, but you need to learn what it feels like to the energy that's trapped in the very ends of the bands. That's what's going to make somebody, yeah, we'll do our best, Helen. And again, just play around with it, because it's just about experience. It's about awareness. Okay. It's not just about technique. I just got to emphasize that there's only so many techniques that I use. And you'll learn most of them by the time this course, it's not, but that's just the tool bags. I would say it's like, it's like have a carpenter, a good artisan who can build houses from scratch. You have tools in your tool bag and you know how to use them to achieve what you want, but it's not about just randomly using tools without any awareness. You've got to have the vision, and then you go, okay, how am I going to, fix this, build this house? But a better idea would be renovate, because we're not really building the house with people. We're renovating them. We're getting these people that are all, tired and worn out and kind of had 50 years of stress, and we're trying to renovate them as best as we can to give them that extra 10 years. Not like I always say, it's not just about it's about quality of life as well as quantity of life. And that's what we can do for people who are green lights. Because I can guarantee you that the less tension you have, the longer you'll live and the better you'll live. I can't guarantee the longer you live, actually, but the better you live. You can get hit by a car and be dead tomorrow. So even if you're tension free, but generally speaking, you're going to live longer without tension and better. It's just better. I don't know. Have you guys, I think it's so important to, on your journey to be good therapists, that you get enough treatments where you've got to a point, at least once in your life, where you're virtually tension free, even if life then builds it up, but you know what that goal is and how wonderful it feels. Because once you know how wonderful it feels, that's your inspiration. That's your kind of like, this is no joke. This is wonderful to get, and you want to get it out for yourself again, like this, life builds up, but you also then have that inspiration to help other people to get to that stage. You're not like a tour guide who says, I've heard that cave back there is actually really nice, but I'm too scared to go there. You've actually been there and you go, wow, there's like so much gold in there. There's so much light. There's so much root, whatever, but there's light and love, and, it's a wonderful place. So you want to have that inspiration to get yourself tension free and to help others. And so do whatever you can to get there. Right. And that will then, so that's also what I want the advanced course to be about, even though it is only 5 days, where we all work together to get each of us as close to that goal as possible. And of course, we're not going to get there in 5 days, but at least if we make some serious progress, then that's going to be great. And one of the first things I want to do when we get into the advanced course is do a diagnosis of everybody. Okay, because when you're treating people, that's what you want to do. First of all, you want to diagnose. You want to diagnose, a little bit about, are they a yellow light, red light, green light? You want to diagnose how well do they breathe? Can they deep breathe and just let go with what I call a non-judgmental frame of mind? Then you want to diagnose each of the bands. Okay, and you want to go, okay, maybe I need to do 2 hours on this arm. Maybe I need to do another 2-hour treatment on the other arm, and you come up and 3 hours on each foot, and you come up with a treatment plan in your head, is going, how are we going to get, if we're trying to get from A to Z, A being where the person's at and Z being the final goal of being tension free, what's our plan to get there? And like I said, most cases it's not what I call a one treatment wonder. It's more about 10 treatments, 20 treatments, but it's still the best time and money that anybody can ever invest in their health, in my opinion. Even if it costs them a couple £1,000 or something to get tension free, it's the best investment you'll ever make. And even as therapists, it's the best investment, because I can guarantee you that when you're tension free, you're going to be a better therapist. So you're going to have more time and energy to massage other people, right? So you can learn that. Yeah, it is a process, but the event is when you get there, largely, or but you never stay. Like I say, and then it's maintenance. You just need to maintain. You need to recognize, okay, I've got to the point of being tension free. I'm not going to let it build up too much. Whereas most of us have let that tension build up way too much. We got to 30 or 50 years and never really had a lot of that tension go. All right. So when's a good time for everybody to have another meeting? As I say, the evenings in the UK work better for me because I'm in St. Louis at the moment and it's 1:58 p.m. now, so almost 2 p.m. Must be, what's it in England, 8 or 9?
It's 8 now.
8 now. Okay. Is everybody, that's what I thought. If you guys just go away, have a think about what we talked about and have any questions, and then there's a bit more I'd like to cover. And then, like I said, we'll get on Monday of the course, we'll just get straight into diagnosis, deep breathing, calming the mind. I want to do a head massage to show you guys how to calm the mind and get them deep breathing. And then we're going to feed the rhythm of the breath with getting rid of the tension from the ends of the bands. And that's the kind of emphasis of what I like on the advanced course. So I'm excited. And like I said, I'd like to really emphasize that we're going to use that time for practical so we can get you guys closer to that point of tension free as well. All right. So let me see. I'm leaving on the 3rd of September from here. So the 2nd, I'll probably be busy, but I could do another meeting in, 5 or 6 days or something like that. Is that good? Is this time good for you guys?
Yeah.
What about next Monday? Or Tuesday?
Tuesday's better.
Tuesday's better. Let's do
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
So today's
Yeah.
Thursday, right? So 5 days, the 29th of August. Does that suit everybody?
Yep.
Same time? Is that good for you guys? I can do a little bit earlier if you want.
I want to. Can we go a bit later? I don't finish work until 6:30. It was a bit of a rush for me to get home.
7, is that
I
good?
can do it in the car. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I don't mind. It's 7 o'clock better for you guys?
Yeah,
That works.
7 is good.
All right, let's do
Thank you.
7 next. And then, like I say, think of any questions so that, like I say, any theoretical stuff, make sure you've completed. Oh, I added a bunch of stuff to the online course a few weeks ago about using a chopstick and about assisted belly breathing. I added a bunch of stuff from my recent courses where I'm covering that. So again, you'll be a lot more head started if you get a chance to review that kind of stuff. And Clementine, it's the same online course that you would have done in New Zealand, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
not a
it's the
different one.
same?
Yeah, except that I
Okay.
added stuff.
Okay.
If you
Okay.
guys can look at that, you'll see a couple parts where I actually clarified it for students because some of my teachers don't want people practicing the chopstick work anymore, just doing the certificate course because they want to get people to have empathy. So I'm now saying to people, don't practice it until the advanced course and stuff. But don't worry about that's, but for you guys doing the advanced, I haven't created a whole new online course for the advanced course yet or anything. But yeah, if you guys can review that between now and then and practice, on your fingers and also practice some of the deep breathings, just getting really into, because deep breathing is an intrinsic part. We cannot do this without being deep breathing into your dantian and having a non-judgmental frame of mind to whatever comes up and letting it go. All right. Great. Well, I'll email you guys a Zoom meeting link and hopefully we'll see you guys all in 5 days on Zoom and then in a few weeks in England.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Beautiful.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Nice to
Bye.
meet you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.